Apologies. We got a note saying that several people were having trouble logging in. And so we will begin again. We've been having a brilliant conversation, however. And this is Francine Love. I'm the founder and principal attorney of Love Law Firm. And welcome to our monthly webinar called Schmooze or Lose, How to Network. Love Law Firm exists to serve entrepreneurs and small business owners. And what we try to do is to ensure that people have the tools they need for success. With me today is David Gussin. And David is the co-founder of 516 and 631 Ads and is one of the largest networking groups here on Long Island. David's a good friend of mine, so welcome, David.
Thank you for having me here. Honored to be here with you, Francine.
We're having a sense of deja vu because we've had a wonderful discussion, and then I thank my friend Nanette for letting me know that she was not hearing us. Let's start again, David, and talk about, again, what is networking? And we had talked a little bit before about some of the misperceptions as to what networking is. And let's quickly go through again. What is it that makes, what is a good networking event? What is networking? What does the concept mean?
First of all, hi, thank you for having me here.
Welcome, David.
Networking is different things to different people. Right. So it really is. So what we were saying earlier, networking in the format that we're talking about here, business networking, is businesses coming together. We'll mix them with nonprofits as well at times, coming together, larger percentage business, but business and nonprofits coming together, hopefully to meet people, make introductions to each other, build relationships that hopefully lead to business. Networking to me, when I first started, I didn't even know about this networking. Networking to me was the wires that come out of a computer. But whatever the meanings are, one thing I believe for sure, when it comes to business, if your networking doesn't equal smart business activity, you're just hanging out.
Right.
So we need to make our networking, from a business perspective, we need to make our networking matter. From meeting nice people, making friends, a little bit of social thing, getting out there, talking to people, do what you want. But from a business perspective, it needs to matter.
That's right. And we talked about some of the misperceptions, that it's a time where you just go around and you shove business cards in people's hands. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about events where you make meaningful introductions, you get to know one another. And we talked about here that this quote, which I really like, that the networking has more in common with planting than hunting. It's not about immediate satisfaction or results. It's about cultivating relationships and letting things grow. And I've seen people say, well, I tried networking once and it didn't work. And you're like, well, what did you do? Well, I went to an event. Okay. And I talked to 5 people and no one became my client. Well, that's nice. What did you expect? People don't do business with you just because you showed up at an event, introduced yourself, and gave out your business card. People do business with you because they get to know you, they get to like you, they begin to trust you, and they need you. And so you have to begin to cultivate this entire process. It's not a one and done event. So I think one of the things that I always tell people when they're going to start networking is it's something bigger than just a one-time thing. If you're going out to network once, then you're going to hang out, in my opinion.
Long term, it's certainly more than a one-time thing. The important thing to know is networking is different for different industries. So without question, it certainly could be of value or beneficial to 99.9% of businesses, not everyone, or even everyone. The levels might just change. So sometimes I see in networking that someone's coming in and they're looking for $1 million investor. This is the wrong room for you to be in.
Right.
But it doesn't mean you can't be networking around $1 million investors. So on all levels it can. But from this business networking, assorted businesses, it's different for different industries, and the individual business owners should understand that, and then make it work for them. An example could be you, because as a business attorney, you can walk into a room, and if you have all businesses in the room, then theoretically there's no one in that room that you cannot have a conversation with about business, whether it ultimately be for themselves or someone they know.
Right.
So there's much more fish in that pond
Right.
for your business. But if you as an attorney chose to be a personal injury attorney, but still liked networking, well, then it's much less for you, because everyone, they have to get hurt for you to help them. It's
Right.
not even a fun topic to talk about. So within
Right.
that room of just using that one example, and mind you, we could use hundreds of examples,
Yep.
different for different industries.
Yep.
People need to strategize to make it work for them, and they can.
Absolutely. And I think, so let's talk about, you've made the decision that you want to join the networking world. You've taken aside any fears that you may have. You're ready to go out and do it. What should you do? How do you begin networking? How did you get your start, David?
Well, I'll tell you how I got my start. I was sitting in the office where we came up with 516 ads and 631 ads. Sold my first ad out of the town crier, the back of it. I figured if they place an ad in the town crier, they'd want to place an ad in 516, they could conceivably place an ad with us. I actually charged double of what we charge now. I charged $5.99, and the first person I ever called said yes. First one I ever called, the American Cancer, it wasn't American Cancer Society, but a cancer organization. They had like a donate your car thing in the back of the thing. They said yes. And I even got some other bit. But I quickly said to my dad, this isn't going to work. I can get people to sign up. I can get them, because 516 ads is a pretty good name. You want to place your ad with us. I can get people to sign up, but I'm not doing anything for them. No one's just coming to the site. There needs to be more.
Right.
Which led me to going to my first networking event, which was at the Boulder Creek Steakhouse on Hempstead Turnpike, run by Evan St. Gerard and Dean Graber. That was the first event I ever attended.
You have a remarkable memory. I don't remember things from a week ago. That's wonderful. If you want to start networking, I know one of the things that I think people should do is have a goal in mind. What is it that they're trying to accomplish in their networking? What are some practical advice that you give to someone brand new who's looking to enhance their networking?
I'd want to give them the proper expectations of what they can expect. I'd explain to them that, wow, there's so many different groups,
right,
and everyone has their own comfort level.
Mm-hmm.
I'd explain to them that if it is a group, often if you're going to join a group, don't be surprised that after a certain amount of time, you'll be ready to leave that group.
Mm-hmm.
Networkers tend to stay longer than they should because they tend to be good teammates and don't like to quit on the team.
Right.
So they'll stay with a group even though they're not getting business value out of it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But the three things I tell them they could expect is one, they could get direct business out of it. That's the only thing they're expecting. They'd probably be disappointed. Not always. The example for not always is someone that prints business cards, someone that does promotional items. They could join a group, and conceivably, if it's a pretty big enough group, separate from everything else they do, they could consistently get orders.
Right.
So because someone's always ordering cards, someone always needs pens, someone always wants shirts. So networking for that type of industry is very good to go all the time.
Right.
After the divorce attorney already met everybody, and I don't care if it's 30, 50, or 50 people, that's pretty good numbers for a consistent group.
Right.
They know everyone already. It's probably time to meet new people.
Right.
Any relationships that they develop there, they probably develop. And then after a while, let them be new people. And they can come back and visit and see,
Right.
but it's probably time for them to move on. The three expectations: direct business,
Mm-hmm.
you could get it. Promotional people, hey, I got tons of business from networking. I love the networking world. Thank you, networking world. But the second thing is, if you do it right, man, you could develop a team of people underneath you.
Right.
Now, they're all different people with different structures. You, Francine Love, cannot give a finder's fee to someone because they sent you so-and-so. You could develop a team of people underneath you, but it also adds value to them that, hey, you need an attorney, see Francine's Love.
Right.
You see, so, but let's take it away from you. Let's go to the home construction person.
Right.
Say someone does construction on a house. And all of a sudden they're networking and they develop nice relationships. And when they were giving the opportunity, they did a great job.
Right.
That matters because everybody's reputation is on the line when you refer someone.
That's right.
If you refer someone, they do a bad job, that comes back and hurts you.
Yep.
But if you meet someone that does a good job and people say, hey, thanks for sending that, now all of a sudden you're developing a good reputation.
Right.
If that home improvement company guy or gal had to hire someone and train them to get on the phone for a whole year, it would cost them maybe $20,000, $30,000. Well, we're only talking $400 a week to have someone in the office to train them in the lingo. That's not an exaggeration.
Right.
But if they're in networking, developing friendships, and doing a good job, they can have people that, one, give many referrals for free. They're not even expecting anything back.
Right.
Or they can even set up a system where, hey, you find me someone, I'll give you a 5% fee.
Right.
And you know what? It's not a bad idea for the person.
Right.
Because if the kitchen's $50,000 and all of a sudden you're getting $2,500 because you made the introduction.
Right.
Hey, good for you. You didn't break any laws. You're not stealing anything.
Right.
You made a great introduction. You got it.
Right.
So direct business, building a team of people underneath you.
Right.
One of the things I think, as a cute thing is hire a cheerleader.
Right.
Man, develop as many cheerleaders for you as possible. Go meet people, do a good job, do what you say you're going to do, and
Right.
people will sing your praises.
That's right.
And the third thing, so direct business, develop a team of people underneath you by doing what you're supposed to do, and they support you more, and turn yourself into a resource.
Yep.
There's no business in the world that, ladies and gentlemen, when people spend money with us, and when people spend money with you, that means they trust you.
Right.
Or they wouldn't be writing a check for you. So if they trust you, now already they can trust you with other stuff like, hey, my computer's broke down, an IT person,
Right.
Hey, my accountant just moved to Florida.
Right.
You got a CPA for me?
Right.
And the more you're able to help people,
Right.
the more it helps solidify you in whatever business you're in.
That's right. I completely agree. I think when you go out to network, you're looking for three different things, which is what you've said. You're looking for clients, you're looking for advocates or cheerleaders or a team, people who will get to know you, like you, and maybe they're not your client base, but they know people who will be your client base, and they'll help you find the right people. And then you find experts. Position yourself as an expert, but I've also found networking to be very useful because I now have a network of experts in different fields that if I find a problem and I'm not familiar with it, I can pick up the phone and call them. In fact, I had that recently. One of the gentlemen that I know very well is Craig Cody. He's a CPA. He's a great guy. One of my clients got a K1 that I thought was wrong, but I'm not an accountant. That's not my specialty. I pick up the phone, I call Craig, and I immediately have an answer, a response, and I'm able to better help my client. I met Craig because he emailed me off my website and said, I'd like to know a business attorney. And I'm grateful every day that he did, and we've become great friends and referral partners since then. And that's the type of thing that I really respect and need, is having an expert, having an advocate, and having clients.
Yes, absolutely so. And it gets better and better. It takes time. I'll give a quick analogy, but it's the right one because everyone, gung-ho, business right away. I get it. And it's true, and you could do well, but it gets better and better. Let's say a person was the decathlon champion, the gold medal decathlon winner. Right. And they became a New York City police officer. They'd probably be the fastest police officer. Right. They probably, from day one, they'd be probably the fastest police officer. They'd probably be the strongest, if not one of the strongest police officers for sure. They'd be in the top 1%. They'd be the gold medalist in the decathlon. Right. But they wouldn't be the best police officer yet. Right. And that's because some things just come with experience. Right. There's nothing as far as helping people's business as far as having satisfied clients. Right. So even if you're great from day one, you'll have more satisfied clients in year 3, 5, 7, and 12 than you're going to be in the first months, weeks, and year of opening up your shop. Right. Know it. It's a gardening / planting seeds. That's right. And good business word. I was going to make this today's Facebook business word of the day: consistency. Yes. Consistency. We all need to be consistent.
Absolutely. So some of the other tips, I just want to touch on them before we move on, is the last part is the 60-second introduction, an elevator pitch. When I first started in networking, going out and going to events, I was surprised. Jill Sabrocki and Pam Shapiro invited me to a group that they have called Circle of Influence. They were kind enough to introduce me to networking. I went and sat there. We were at Bertucci's. We're sitting around this big table. There's like 25 people. And Jill dinged the glass and said, okay, now we're going to introduce ourselves. And I was like, uh-oh, it surprised me. But fortunately, I've never been shy in my life. And I had a couple people in front of me to talk. And I learned quickly that I wanted to come up with an introduction that I could use, or the basic framework of one that I could use when I go out to meetings that have a little bit more formality to them. Not all networking meetings do, but if you end up going to one where there's more formality and they ask you to introduce yourself, you should spend a little time thinking about what you want to say and how you want to introduce yourself. And David and I were talking even before this broadcast about how, when you stand up first to talk, if it's a large group, stand up and talk and, say hi. Some people are so nervous, they just start blurting out, I'm Francine Love, and people don't catch your name. And you want them, the whole point is for people to know you. So stand up, say hi, smile, state your name, and then tell a story, right? Don't have the same thing that you're going to say over and over again. I've been in meetings where someone gets up and I'm literally mouthing the words of what they're going to say because I've heard them at network meetings too much. Give something different every time, a little different spin on what you do and how you do it to keep people interested so that they don't tune out when they go, oh, it's Francine. She says the same thing every time and she's going to end with build, not build. So let's, what can I look at instead? But I think you want to do that. You want to be concise. You want to be interesting. And I think too, you want to focus on your benefits to people, not all of your, don't be salesy. Talk about what not the features, talk about the benefits of what you bring. I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to add in just these little 60-second pitches because you hear them all the time.
Yeah. I guess in one way it starts how new you are to the group, or if you've been there a long time. Sure. It would certainly make a difference. I think if you're new to the group or not new to the group, first of all, say hi to everyone. And really, actually, I say hi, everyone, and they actually say hi, David, but I've been there a while. If you're new to the group, thank the person who invited you. Yeah. The reason you do these things first, as a matter of fact, besides saying hi and thank, is already you're giving a buffer that it's just not all about you. Mm-hmm. If it's all about you, it's hi, I do this, I've been doing it for years. If you need anything, I'm the best at it. No, but if you say hi, thank you for having me. Right. I'd like to thank Francine for inviting me today. So already the person has some manners and everything. Yeah,
that's very important.
As forceful and listen, everyone's different. Hey, I growled when I first I started networking when the $700 billion bailout was taking place. Mm-hmm. In my mind, I want to build this Long Island resource. Right. That everyone's going to know. A Long Island resource, ignite business, spread good stuff in the community. And I was really, it wasn't out of desperation, but it was like, I might as well go for it now and give it my all, right. Which made me come across a bit stronger than most people should. Mm-hmm. My introductions right now, while still having passion, right. are much softer than they used to be. Mm-hmm. So balance your softness. Let's balance it both ways. Right. On one end, more importantly than not speaking lower, because you could always take a little energy down, but it's hard to put a little energy up if someone doesn't have you, if someone doesn't have it. Right. Make sure you speak up, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Make sure that you're heard. Some people have a soft voice, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I actually like it. Right. But when you're speaking in a group, make sure your decibel volume is up, that everyone can hear you. Mm-hmm. You don't want any ears trying not to hear you. Right. If you're the opposite, calm down your passion, especially if you're new. Mm-hmm. And when I say calm down your passion, I'll put a little asterisk next to it. If your passion's at the right level, then man, go with your passion. But if your passion is over the top and you know it, and we could all judge ourselves fairly, my passion's over the top. I need to know when to control it. Maybe I even need to control it more. Right. But know to control it. especially in the beginning. Softer is more.
Right.
You know, so softer is more. So start with thanking people. Start with, hi, nice to meet you.
Right.
Thanking the person, and come from a soft approach. What you were saying before, inform, don't sell.
Right.
Be informational without selling. Don't be too informational, but just a little tidbit.
Right.
If you have any questions, come to me. Another nice thing for everyone. You were talking before, you had an expert. Here's a nice line for networkers. After you explain what you do, if you need anything in this field, I will either help you directly or point you in the right direction.
Right.
Because some people, if you do everything,
Right.
you have the answers for everything. Anyone who has the answers for everything, no one trusts you.
Right.
If you know everything, you know nothing.
Right. Very
know
true.
what you don't know, and it makes you more respectable to the people. But I will either help you myself,
right,
or point you in the right direction. What more could someone ask for?
Right. Very good. I want to share one little thing before we go to the next slide. I've heard people do it, is they create a tagline for their company, which tells you a little bit about them, and it's easy to remember. One of my friends, Juan Vides, who has a website design and SEO company, his tagline is, "We play in traffic so you don't have to." I remember that all the time, and it tells me what he does. Joe Haramis, a great friend of both you and I, David, who has Floors Decor and more. I thought hers was brilliant the first time I had it. If your home isn't becoming to you, you should be coming to me. How perfect. And I think as you go out there and once you're involved in networking, if you can come up with a nice tagline even that helps people remember who you are, what you sell or do, the service you provide, it's kind of an advanced skill in networking to aim for. But it's something that I've seen, and I really like when someone has something clever and it helps remind me what it is that they do and what they're about.
Taglines certainly can be beneficial. People should give them thought. That has more to do with branding than it has to do with networking. But the right tagline can make all the difference in the world. It helps explain something.
Right.
I'll even go away from a tagline for a moment because it was a difference maker. Actually, there's been a lot of difference makers with that. But there's one woman that I don't know if you know, Lisa Albanowski.
Okay.
And Lisa was the president for 3 years of SWEBAC, one of Long Island's business networking organizations. Now she was able to give up her time. They let her go. They didn't want to let her go. But Lisa cares so much and tries so hard and does such a great job. She's been doing real estate for years that when we were having a meeting, one of the things I told her is, we're not going to refer to you as Lisa anymore. We're going to refer to you as Lisa. We're going to extend it out. We're going to stop calling you Lisa. And the reason we're going to call you Lisa is because you try so hard and you seem so stoic that you're too serious. and being too serious might not make people comfortable with you.
Right.
Well, you know what? She's been doing this for 1.5 years, and in Suffolk County, where we are a lot with her, when people see her, they call her Lisa. Because you can't say Lisa without smiling.
Right.
And she was comfortable with it right away.
Right.
See, because she might have looked stoic and all that, but that's because she's a really caring, competent woman, and she cares about every word that she says, and she cares about every detail for a client. And when you're buying a house, there's a lot of serious stuff going on there.
Right.
So she wasn't all smile. Right. But when she says Lisa, she can't help but smile. Yeah. And it softened who she is.
That's wonderful.
And it's a little thing, but it's everything.
So I think you bring us naturally to the next slide, which is our tips in being effective in networking. And one of the things is be genuine, be yourself. If you're a nice person, be a nice person. It's not swimming with sharks. You're not out to, if you're not a salesy person, don't be a please don't be a salesy person. Be normal, be genuine. Stand up, like you were saying, when you introduce yourself, stand up, say hello, say thank you. You know, be a nice person. I find that people who are kind at these events get a whole lot more people chatting with them afterwards and liking them than people who are overly aggressive, who you feel have come to this event simply for the purpose of bagging a client. And that's not what networking feels or should feel like. It should be about meeting people so you can become resources for one another.
Yeah. Wow. First of all, it's wonderful. Lot of wonderful people. The responsibility. Listen, individually, it's up to each person to make the most of it. It's up to each person. In the end, it's up to each person.
Yes.
But the initial thing, let's give a 0.1% more responsibility to the networkers greeting people. Because if I wanted to look and poke at people, I could go to, oh, it's their insecurities. And they walk into, but you know what? People have a right to have insecurities. If you're walking into a room that you don't know anyone, you have a right to be nervous. You have a right to be a little bit insecure about the circumstances that you're in. So as opposed to telling people, get more secure, don't be insecure. No, let's look at it the other side. And something I once told you, to make this all work, is if once you're a smidgen comfortable with networking, and it shouldn't take too long, be an ambassador of networking. It's good for you. It's excellent for you. It's not good for you. It's excellent for you. Nobody forgets the first person that welcomed them in the networking room. They might even stop networking, but when they think back to networking, they'll remember the first person who met them. Let's go away from that first person for a second. Let's say they don't meet that first person and they come by themselves. They're looking in that room, and once again, they're intimidated. They don't know anyone. Some people might not even enter the door. They might turn around and say, these people aren't for me. It's too cliquey. Or these people aren't for me. They have an attitude. That wouldn't be the sort. But nobody greeted them. But imagine all that same person right at the door. And I'm often at the door, by the way. Not purposely, but I often am. It seems I'm there. And I welcome people. Hi, nice to have you there. I welcome them whether it's my event or not. Now, if it's my event, hi, nice to have you here. Maybe how'd you hear of us? And my name's David. If you need anything, let me know. If it's someone else's event, I still welcome them. I do not overstep my bounds and make it like it's my event. That would be wrong of me. But I do welcome them, and I'll say, hi, you know, this is Joe and Lisa's event. They're over there. They're real busy now. They do a great job. If they're busy, you need anything, let me know. And then maybe getting it. So you're already welcoming someone with a friendly face. Wow.
Yes. That
could turn that person who really, everyone has value. You never know who knows who. You really never know who knows who. Some billionaires walking around with the sloppiest clothes, very comfortable. They don't need fancy. They're not driving around fancy, but you never know who knows who. But that person, if they weren't welcome, once again, could have turned around and left, could have stayed in the corner. Or you could be bringing in someone that could bring a value, a multitude of ways for many years to come, just because you greeted them in a friendly way. Everyone in networking, it cannot hurt your networking if you be an ambassador of networking.
I think that's beautiful. I wrote it down as act like the host of the event, but I think you're very smart to raise, don't overstep your bounds. So I want to be clear on that. That I've used that advice you gave me time and time again. And I'll tell you, sometimes I go into places and I'm nervous. I don't know this networking group. I don't know this event. I've never been there before. And if I think, how would I act if I was, you know, hosting the event? Well, I would go up and greet people. I would be friendly. I would be, you know, I would be more apt to introduce myself to people than not. And it's really changed networking for me. So I thank you for that, David. That's been a great tip for me.
My honor to work with you. Let's just take it one more level, because it matters with this. You welcome them. They're friendly. You find out what they do. My fellow networkers, if you're listening to this, you like networking. If you listen to it after it's done, you care about networking, man, be a great introducer. Be a quality introducer. By the way, be an introducer, not a deal maker. And that's up to you how it comes out of you. See, a deal maker, most deals fall through. And most people like to blame people. So if you're a deal maker making introductions and most things fall through, somehow people will be upset with you in the end. But everyone appreciates a quality introducer. You'd be better off and get more value when you go to a networking event if you concentrated on making the introductions. And I don't mean, oh, hi, John, you need to meet James. No, maybe they do, but not just because it's two people. But if you see the person walk in and you know there's a business synergy there, either a direct business synergy or something in your head, like these people need to get together, and you make those introductions, that's more valuable for you than telling people what you do. I assure you, if you do that well, they will know what you do.
That's right. No, and that's a wonderful tip. That's another thing I think you've shared with me in the past. And to be a connector and to be seen as someone who knows other people and is willing to make these introductions, And it's important to do real and genuine introductions. I've seen people, you know, they don't really know these people. They're just, you know,
They're passing them
right.
off.
And you don't want to do that.
No. Real introduction.
Yeah, so I think that's wonderful.
You'll know if you make a real introduction, because when you go back to the people and they're talking 5 minutes later, they'll almost say like, you made a good one.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
You were right.
Yep, exactly. Another thing I want to talk, so you've now gone to this event, you've had a good time, you've made, and I want to be sure people understand, when you go to an event, if there are 30 people in the room, you don't need to leave with 30 business cards. I have found if I go to an event and I say, I'm going to try and make 2 or 3 quality introductions, people who I have a synergy with, or I have an interest with, or could, you know, could potentially be a client, advocate, or expert, I've done well. If I, in an hour and a half, can come away with 2 to 3 good quality contacts, that's amazing, at least in my opinion. So then the question becomes, so what do you do now? How do you make networking effective? It's not enough to just meet people. You got to do something after. What do you find to be effective in follow-up after an event, David?
You have to know who you need to follow up with,
right?
You know, really follow up with. You know, let's stick with the number 30. You met 30 people in the room. At any given time, there's probably 4 or 5 that you could really do business with. And once again, this depends on what industry you're in. I'll tell you what you don't do. You don't send a generic email to everybody that it was nice to meet you.
Yes.
That's probably one of the quickest ways that you'll get none of your other emails opened again.
Yes.
So it's more important sometimes what you don't do instead of what you do.
And please stop adding me to your constant contact list the moment you meet me. That drives me insane.
Unless you gave permission.
That's right. Because I meet people and now I'm on so many mailing lists that I never asked to be on, never wanted to be on. And I spend a good part of my day unsubscribing and making a mental note that this person added me without me asking, sent me things I didn't need. And why do I want to work with someone like that? So I agree. Sometimes the don'ts are more instructive than
well,
the do's.
one of the big don'ts for networking would be not that no generic emails.
Right.
You know, you got someone really remember them. And then follow up with the people that you need to meet. Now, one of the things you could do is set up the parameters while you're speaking to them. Because if you only meeting 3 or 4 people that were really good, and it's up to all of us to have the business savvy in our feet of who we can really deal with.
Right.
I actually sort of like ask for permission, not officially. I don't get a slip, but do I have permission to call you?
Right.
And they, you know, they'll often say absolutely yes.
Right.
You know, if they didn't want to, they might say, you know, I can't see us really doing business, but I say, do I have permission to call you?
Right.
Or sometimes you'll set the parameters there. If you have a decent conversation, you know what, as long as it's okay with you, I'll send our info and then I'll follow up.
Right.
So it's almost sort of like you're letting them know. I guess there should be a little warmth between your correspondence and the conversation that you had.
Right.
Because the conversation, if it was good, could be, you know what, if it's okay with you, I'll send you a little info on our company, yes, and follow up, or it's okay, give me a call. Or, once again, we're only talking about 4 or 5 things at any particular event.
Right.
Be on top of it.
And I've found too, if I've talked to someone, maybe they're in an industry that I'm not in, but I may see a news article in the next few days about that industry or how it's expanding, or someone who might be interesting to them. Often when I follow up, I'll send a note and say, you know, it was great talking to you, Bob. You know, it was really, I'm glad you shared about that. I was reading this article. I don't know if you saw it, you know, where you're automatically being a resource or being interesting. It's not, once again, you're not shoving yourself down their throat. You're trying to help bring value, bring interest, and create a dialogue where you can learn and exchange and hopefully get business done. Believe me, I'm not against getting business done. And if someone says, you're wonderful and I want to introduce you to someone to make them your client, I'm all over that, and it's targeted and it's effective. I'm talking about people that you haven't found, that didn't raise their hand when they first met you and say, gee, I want to hire you right now. But that's something I've found to be effective, is to find news or interest or share stories that relate with what they are and what they do.
That goes back directly to what we were saying before, the 3 things: direct business, build your team, turn yourself into a resource.
Exactly.
So that's number 3, turning yourself into a resource. In fact, if you're worried about conversation, if you're worried, if you're talking about too much about yourself, As you get steady, I mean, here we're talking about Long Island, but theoretically, if networking was taking place anywhere, once you learn the layout of the region that you're in and what events are going on, you could be just resourceful of letting them know what events are going on. And you could suggest anything you want, but hey, there's some real estate investors events going on. There's marketing events going on. There's more things geared towards different things. If you're knowledgeable of the layout, just by you telling them about an event could be beneficial to them.
Exactly. And one of the tips someone gave me that I thought was really wonderful is when you do a referral or you're making an introduction to someone else, is don't say that you have a guy. Oh, I got a guy for that. Everyone in this world has a guy. Have an expert, and that'll really help your own, when you are helping your network and you're helping the people who send you business back, introduce them as your expert, as your go-to figure, not just your guy. It lends them a credibility and enhances, and it also makes your referrals and leads better. Let's talk, we've talked about some of this before, and I'd like to talk on opening lines or closing lines, how to deal with rude people or unresponsive, you know, all of these. We've talked about tips for introverts and extroverts. You covered that before. We've talked about if you're brand new. What are some things if you just don't know what to say?
Say hi. Say hi with a big smile on your face.
Right.
You know, even, you know, joke with yourself. I'm a newbie, or I'm a rookie.
Right.
You know, hi, I'm a new, oh, really? You know, the people, listen, most networkers are absolutely wonderful people. At least the circles that I'm in.
Right.
Sometimes you hear rooms are stuffier than others. You know, I don't roll my eyes often, but I roll my eyes at that.
Yeah.
But no, most networkers would tend to be wonderful and nice and kind and polite. If you had told them you knew or you're a rookie, one, they'd appreciate it. You're being humble.
Right.
You're not trying to dominate the room or be, you know, and the first thing they want to do, the first thing they should ask you is, what do you do?
Right.
So then they can find out, what do you do? So you can explain yourself a little to them. But then they should tell you that, don't worry, if you need anything, I'm here for you.
Right.
And then if you do something that's goes along with something else and someone else in the room does, man, I hope they take you by the wrist and walk you over and make the introductions for you.
Right. Yeah, I want to talk about the rude one, because I was surprised. I have found 99.9% of people to be awesome. And I was at an event one day and, you know, said hello to someone. I had never been to this particular event before, so I was doing my basically, hi, I'm new here, you know, nice to meet you, I want to introduce myself. And this woman asked me, well, what do you do? And I said, I'm a lawyer. She said, oh, I hate lawyers. And I have to admit, there are a few times in my life that I'm, you know, silent, and I was just like, oh, okay. I was so surprised to find that. And I just smiled and I said, well, you know, I hate the rude ones too. And tried to keep on going. But, you know, sometimes you'll find that absolutely don't be rude back, because that person has since come up to me at other events and wants to talk and so I don't know.
They see that you're a star.
I don't know what the bee was in her bonnet that day, but sometimes people have a bad day. Sometimes people are going through something. If you deal with someone rude, don't be rude back, and just excuse yourself to go find someone else as politely as possible. I'm sure you've seen things like that.
Yeah, you don't see it too much.
No.
We've been doing all this networking. We've been talking about the person that came in. If you're new, or even if you're not new, consider going with someone. Mm-hmm. It's a real nice benefit. You know, we've been talking like individuals coming, but especially if you're new, but go with someone. Actually be advocates for each other. Mm-hmm. I call it the networking walk. And when we're talking, you know, let's get past the baby stuff of networking, of high and being scared. Let's know, man, you got an associate you like, sing their praise as well, and I hope they sing your praise as well. They should. A lot of times I have someone next to me, I'm not important, but this is the person that you need to meet. Yeah. And vice versa, because it works well if you have an advocate. As far as rude, it doesn't happen that often. I can't say I have always behaved myself if someone's rude. I'm not a fan of disrespect. It's a pet peeve, but I must say it happens very little. Right. It doesn't happen a lot. Yeah. If it happens a lot, then maybe one is too sensitive.
Well, I can think of one time in 18 months.
Right. So once, yeah. And for me, it's happened less than a handful of times over the course of the years. So no, you shouldn't be getting upset all the time.
Right.
You don't need to be the police officer for the room.
By no means.
And that matters, because if you want to be the police officer and see every little thing that someone did wrong, and you're going to see a lot of things.
Right.
Don't see everything.
Right.
You're there for yourself.
Right.
But I did see something rude recently. It was at a show. I introduced a chiropractor type, and I was making the introduction, and you know me, I'm introducing,
Yeah.
and this one, there was no direct business synergy, but hire a chiropractor, hire this. If you know anyone, you know, introduce. Right. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, I can't do that. I don't believe in them. And I let her go on a little bit. And I said, but I wasn't I wasn't rude back, but I was a bit stern back. Right. Because it was one of the worst answers I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Because you're allowed to go along with the program.
Right.
Like, even if it's not something you're
right.
interested in,
right.
play the game for
right.
the 2 minutes.
Right.
We're not going to be here for a half hour, an hour. It's right. 2 minutes. Right. Play the game. Oh, hi, nice to meet you. You don't like it? Don't call them. Throw the card away. Right. But no need to say something like that.
Right.
Yeah. So I said to her, wow, that was quite an introduction. That would be like someone saying your industry. Oh, I've heard so many bad things about your industry with lawsuits and people being scams.
Right.
I couldn't say anything worse.
Right. And
just left it at that.
Yeah.
But that's few and far between. So thankfully, you don't have to deal with many rude people.
That's right. Thankfully. One of the things we've talked about here is picking a networking group, and we've talked about there are a multitude of them. If you want to find out more about groups to meet with and talk to, feel free to reach out to either David or I afterwards. One of the things I've loved about David and this organization that he has is he talks about Sweeback, he talks about others, he talks about other groups that may be helpful to you, because his isn't exclusive. He's such a valuable resource to people who are out trying to meet and to ignite business, that it's smart to look at that. And I've looked, you know, there's tons of networking groups for lawyers, there's some for accountants, there's some for doctors, there's thousands of them that are based on profession, population served. Some meet weekly, some bi-weekly, some monthly. You know, there's lots of events that you can join. You can find a networking group that'll work for you. It's not that it's one size fit all. You can find the right one and go and keep going until you find the group that really works for you. And like David said, when it's done working for you, don't be afraid to move on and find another group to keep finding more business. Is there anything you want to say just about how to pick a networking group, David?
Yes. One of the differentials between me and network, as from the beginning, I say I'm building a resource. Mm-hmm. And building a resource is, yes, I have my own thing going on, but my job is to give people quality information on all the things going on. And even more than quality information, accurate information mm-hmm. of what they could expect. In addition to how to pick a networking group, I want to say don't be afraid to start your own. Mm-hmm. One of the terms I've used forever is create your own, piggyback on others. Mm-hmm. The reason I'd want you to create your own is I want you to stand out from the crowd. Mm-hmm. I'm not here to build networking. I love networking. They say I'm good at it. I like to give you value with it. I'm here to help people better their businesses, mm-hmm. which is to help them use networking as a tool. So create your own, piggyback on others. Networking group. No. You want the leader of the group to be a great introducer of you. Mm-hmm. That's important. Mm-hmm. If their goal is to build a group, that's not necessarily good for you.
Right.
When anyone ever says in networking, this is the best group, and I have some friends that do it, and I give them a little dig. They're still my friend. There's no such thing. You've never heard me say, and I never have said that we're the best group. Because who am I to say, or the best organization? That's not up for us to decide. That's up to the people to decide. Right. And they could change. Best for what? Right. It depends what business you're in. It might depend what your logistics are. It might depend who's there. But one of the things you would like is for the leader of the group to be a great introducer of you.
Yes.
Because them singing, or leadership of the group, if they have a person within that leadership of the group that could sing other people's praises well when guests come and stuff, mm-hmm. That goes a long way.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you something else about a group since networking has become prolific in Long Island. This thing of paying a big fee for the year is really not needed anymore. Actually, it's just not needed. Mm-hmm. You see, networking groups for real build their kitty. It's actually opposite of what's effective. They bill their kitty by you missing lunches. And that's a fact. Because you pay for lunches in advance.
Right.
You don't show up.
Right.
So $20 a pop. If you don't show up 3 times in 2 months,
Right.
which is 8 times, you missed 3, you're busy with working people,
Right.
you just gave $60 to the kitty.
Right.
I'm a much bigger fan of a structure I like is for one group, I'm talking groups. Once again, my structure is not this way, but that's not what I'm building. $100 to join, a little skin in the game. No one's giving you $100 unless they care.
Right.
So they want to join. So like $100 to join the group, and then you pay for the lunch.
Right.
You know, I also don't like groups limiting you. So make sure your groups don't limit you. Who are you? Who's anyone to tell you who you could go join and see? You want to go see as many people as possible. Right. So be careful of that as well. I've learned over the years that everyone has their own style. People have their own style of what they're comfortable with. So there's no exact right way to do it. But get out there and make things happen. And once again, don't be afraid to start your own. If the leaders of your group don't like it, that you want to start your own, they don't really have your best interest at heart. They should really be happy for you. One thing, what we've done that I'm a little bit proud of is we probably spawned more networking in Long Island than anyone in the last 3 years. I am proud to say that it used to just be the HIA.
Right.
But Pink Tie, Boom, and the LA Expo, in their formative years, and 2 of the 3 till this very day, worked with 516 ads. When they first started, the first place they came to, one of the first people in their first year, they worked with 516 ads. And I hope we were a kickoff a little bit. They certainly did great work without us, but a little bit of a kickoff to get them all off the ground.
Well, David, you've been an invaluable resource to me. I always love talking to you. Your energy is infectious. And I've learned a lot about networking. So thank you for coming and spending this time with me and the group here. I have the last slide up. This is my contact information, but more importantly, it's David's contact information. And if you email me, you can get the transcript of today's webinar and the slides free. Just give me your name, your company, your mailing address. We'll ultimately get the recording up on the YouTube channel for my law firm. We'll be sharing it on Facebook and other places. But thank you for joining us, David. Thank you for coming and being a great friend and mentor to me in networking. And I wish you a wonderful day.
Thank you for having me, and an honor to be with you. It's as simple as that.
Thank you. Everyone have a wonderful day, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Every Wednesday, the last Wednesday of the month from noon to 1 o'clock, we have a webinar. The topic for next month will be negotiating skills. So come join us. Have a great one, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.